Welcome, fellow knowledge seekers, ready for another deep dive? Today we're going to be getting seriously granular. You know how most people just skip the opening credits of a show?
Yeah.
Well, we're going to take those opening moments, specifically from the show Severance, and really unpack what's hidden beneath the surface. Because trust me, there's a lot more going on in that title sequence than you might think.
It's so true. What seems like a simple intro is actually brimming with intentional details. And those details, well, they directly connect to the show's big ideas and even hint at what's to come later in the story. It's like a visual storytelling masterclass tucked right in at the very beginning.
I love that. A masterclass. Okay, so for those who haven't had the pleasure, Severance takes us into this world where a company called Lumon has figured out how to surgically separate a person's work memories from their personal memories.
Right.
And so you have these innies who only know work and outies who only know life outside Lumon. And knowing that about the show, it's kind of mind-blowing to think that the title sequence isn't just there to look cool, but is actively reflecting this whole idea of separation through these subtle visual cues. What kind of secrets are we talking about here? Give us some examples.
Well, you'll see lots of symbolism that really gets at this fractured sense of self. For example, there are these recurring images of figures being split in half or mirrored, visually representing the whole innie and outie concept. Then there are these very deliberate shifts in the color palettes and the environments that foreshadow the huge contrast between that sterile, almost eerie Lumon workplace and the characters' lives outside of work.
Ooh, that's so interesting. So it's like the creators are giving us this visual roadmap to the show's central conflict right from the get-go.
Right.
So if we, the viewers, are really paying attention, what can we actually gain from picking up on these hidden details? How does it enhance the experience of watching the show?
Well, by catching those visual clues, you start to get this deeper, almost subconscious understanding of what the characters are going through internally, their struggles, and you get a better grasp of the big mysteries surrounding Lumon and what's really going on. It just adds this whole other layer of appreciation for the show's incredibly intricate design. It's not like you're solving a puzzle, but you're feeling the themes on a much more profound level.
That's what I love about this kind of stuff. It makes you think, okay, what was the purpose of embedding these secrets in the first place? Why not just come right out and tell the story in a straightforward way? What does this more subtle approach add to the experience for the viewer?
I think it's all about rewarding viewers who are paying close attention. It creates this sense of discovery, like, oh, wow, I didn't notice that before. It definitely encourages people to go back and rewatch, to see what they might have missed. It also subtly speaks to those big themes of the show, like control and hidden agendas. The truth is right there in front of you, but you have to look closely to see it.
It's almost like the title sequence is a microcosm of the entire show, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah.
So it sounds like what we're saying is that title sequences, when they're done really well, they're not just some afterthought or contractual obligation.
Right.
They can actually be a vital part of the storytelling toolkit.
Absolutely.
They can set the mood, introduce key motifs and symbols, and in the case of Severance, they can really engage the viewer in those central ideas of the show before the first scene even begins.
Totally. And, when we zoom out and think about the bigger picture of visual storytelling, the Severance's title sequence is such a great example of how much information and thematic resonance can be packed into purely visual elements. It really makes you reconsider how you approach any piece of visual media, not just TV shows.
This brings up a really interesting point for everyone listening out there.
Yeah.
Now that you're aware of this incredible depth within the Severance opening, how might this change how you watch it? Or even better, how might it change how you rewatch it? And taking it a step further, what other seemingly simple beginnings, whether at other TV shows or even just in everyday life, might actually be filled with these hidden layers of meaning, just waiting for us to slow down and truly observe them?
It's a great question. It really encourages you to become a more active viewer, to question what you see and think about the deeper meanings. And I think it could definitely inspire people to look beyond just the surface level in other areas of life too, to recognize that sometimes the most profound insights are actually hidden in plain sight.
Really something to think about. So we definitely encourage you to go back and watch that title sequence again with fresh eyes and see what jumps out at you now. You might be surprised at the depth you uncover in those first few moments.
I think so too.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
My pleasure.
Until next time, keep those minds curious.